whatever your work is, whether you're a taxi driver, whether you are a yoga teacher, whether you are an astronaut, whether you are a pizza maker, see the dignity in your work. Pursue mastery in your work. No matter what you do, even if you sweep a street, sweep the street like Rembrandt painted. And why would you want to do that? Well, the world needs magic. The world wants to see more of our magic. So you'll light people up, you'll help more people. But also when you pursue your mastery through your work, it gives you a great sense of joy on a job well done.
Prvo ću na hrvatskom. Dobar dan svima, dobrodošli u naše oblake. Danas smo, zahvaljujući Robinu Sharmi, u Firenci. Hello everyone, welcome to our podcast. It is our first podcast on English, and thanks to Robin Sharma. Robin, thank you for your time, and thank you for bringing us and our clouds and hearts to Florence and Tuscany.
Anna, thank you for your time, and you found an amazing place for the interview here in Tuscany, and it's great to finally meet you.
I must ask you something at the beginning. We are in Italy. I don't know if people know that, but you're living here in Florence. Tu parli italiano?
Passo dopo passo.
Bene, bene. Parliamo inglese tutto il tempo. I'm very happy that we are here, that you found your time for us, because as I saw, last few months are really a little bit exhausting because you have a lot of interviews, a promotion of your new book, and congratulations for a big, big success.
Thank you. Yes, I just last week finished a 9-week book tour. So it was very intense and telling as many people as possible about the new book, The Wealth Money Can't Buy, and sharing the 8 forms of wealth that I teach in the book. But it was also, it was very inspiring because I could see so many people across the world, who want to grow and who want to make the world a better place and who want to build intimacy with their gifts and their talents. And I just love my readers so much. So it was a chance to meet my readers as well.
Of course. I must ask you that, but did you expect such a big success? Because it is now, as I see, the world bestseller. I'm sorry, but in Croatia we didn't get the translate version, but I hope it will come as soon as it is possible. But it really has a big impact on people now, and it is just a few months out.
Well, Anna, I spent a year of my life on this new book, and I put my heart and soul in the book. The world suggests that you're wealthy if you have a lot of money. What I'm trying to suggest is money is important. We need to put food on the family table. We have responsibilities to handle. But there are 8 forms of wealth, and money is only one of the forms of wealth. And I think a lot of people feel a lot of pressure to be hustling and grinding and get a lot of material things to be successful. And sometimes a lot of us miss the other forms of wealth, like family and wellness and seeing your work as your craft. So I'm inspired by how well the book is doing, and I think it's resonating with people. And I think a lot of people they're under a lot of pressure, and they're looking for other ways to win. And that's really what the book is about.
Can we go a little bit through the book?
Sure.
It is really interesting. You told me that it has 8 chapters, 8 forms of wealth. Money is one of them, but also there are other ways to be healthy, to have longevity, because now many people are talking about the longevity.
Yes.
What is your opinion? What are those 8 forms of wealth?
Well, I'll start off with a story, if I may. One of the chapters in the book is the multibillionaire in the very empty mansion. So I was invited to mentor a very famous billionaire. You would know who he is. And I decided to accept the invitation. I flew to his country. I went to his city. I showed up at his house, the most amazing house I've ever seen. Walked inside, saw his art collection, magnificent. Continued through the house, there was his car collection in the house, incredible. At the top of the steps, there was an aide who said, go down the steps to the end of the hallway. He's waiting for you, he's in a good mood, he's looking forward. I went down the steps, I could smell cigar smoke. I could hear Metallica's For Whom the Bell Tolls playing. Walked down to the end of the hallway, opened the door, and there was the billionaire. And for 2 hours, we talked about how he grew his businesses, how he made his fortune. We talked about his yachts. He shared so many things. And then I asked him, I said, well, who do you get to share all of this life with? And he said, there was a long pause, and then he said, I'm all alone. And the point I'm trying to make is there are a lot of very rich people who are cash rich but life poor. And so there are 8 forms of wealth. Money is one of the forms of wealth. Money, of course, is important. But the other forms of wealth, like the first one is growth. Our society doesn't say to us, you're growing, you're reading, you're developing yourself, you're confronting your fears, you're praying, you're journaling, you're a wealthy person. But what could be more valuable than building intimacy with your genius and your greatest self? That makes you a rich person.
Of course.
The second form of wealth, which is wellness. If you don't have energy, if you don't have longevity, you're poor. So I'm just trying through this book to introduce people to these other 7 forms of wealth aside from money in this world that says, oh, if you have a lot of money, you're successful.
Yes, also you mentioned family. Family, think how important it is. It is our charger of batteries, isn't it?
Yeah, the third form of wealth is family. And I think if you have a happy family, you'll have a happy life. But again, often we take the people that we love the most for granted until we lose them. And if we have a great family life or great friends, often we don't think that that's a currency of wealth. But I think it's an absolute currency of wealth. When I was growing up, my dad used to say, Robin, if you have 3 great friends, 3 friends that accept you for who you are, 3 friends who, if you're in a foreign country and you're in trouble and you call them at 3 in the morning, they say, I'm going to be on the next plane to come and help you. If you have 3 great friends, you're a very rich person indeed. So I think family is incredibly important. As I get more years under my belt, I just realize a great family life is a key metric of winning. You know, my dad is going to be 86 next month. My mom is in her 80s. I just spent a week with them in London when I was there on the book tour. And just spending those dinners with them and having those simple conversations was worth more than all the gold in the world.
I believe you. Which forms are also forms for good wealth?
So the first one is growth,
Yes.
which is personal growth. The second one is wellness. There's 25 chapters on how do you have energy, how do you have vitality, how do you live longer. Third form of wealth we talked about is family. The fourth form of wealth, your craft. So hard work in this world right now, this age we're living in, almost has a bad reputation. And I think we've gone to an extreme. We've gone from hustle and grind, work all the time, to a lot of people thinking, you know, I don't want to work hard. And hard work is a bad thing. And I think too much work is unhealthy. And I think too much fun is also out of balance. So the fourth form of wealth is your craft. Whatever your work is, whether you're a taxi driver, whether you are a yoga teacher, whether you are an astronaut, whether you are a pizza maker, see the dignity in your work. Pursue mastery in your work. No matter what you do, even if you sweep a street, sweep the street like Rembrandt painted. And why would you want to do that? Well, the world needs magic. The world wants to see more of our magic. So you'll light people up, you'll help more people. But also when you pursue your mastery through your work, it gives you a great sense of joy on a job well done. The fifth form of wealth is money. The sixth form of wealth is your social network. So I think we become our associations. And a simple way to live a much better life is to release the energy vampires and the dream stealers and start to fill your life with people who understand you, who inspire you, who champion you, and who see the world like you. So it's a form of wealth to be around amazing people. The seventh form of wealth is adventure. When we were born, we had a sparkle in our eye.
Of course.
When we were born, we were curious. When we were born, we were dreamers. You love the clouds. We were in the clouds. But what happens as we become adults? We get hurt.
Yes.
We think life isn't safe. We give up on possibility. So that whole section is about becoming what I call a possibilitarian, someone who dreams again, someone who loves life, someone who pursues joy. And then the eighth form of wealth in the book, The Wealth Money Can't Buy, is service. So if you are each day doing something that helps people, that uplifts people, you have a currency of wealth worth celebrating.
It's wonderful. I can't wait to read the book, and I understand why it is so popular global, but you're popular through all the world. What is with you? What are your goals now? Because when you started, I remember the one post which I was read on your social networks, on LinkedIn or Instagram, the monk who sold a Ferrari. At the beginning, the publishers didn't recognize that. Now, it is a different thing when you're writing something. How was at that time, you're living now your purpose? You were talking about the purpose and service and doing your job in the last book, but how was at the beginning? How was with the frustrations maybe?
Well, I don't want to make it sound like everything is perfect right now. I mean, I still want to reach more people. I still am dreaming to write many more books. I want to get better at my craft. So I'm very satisfied in many ways, and in many ways I'm still very impatient. And I think that's an important point. Like, we all, no matter who we are, we have frustrations. We all have good days and challenging days. Yeah, but yes, when I started off with the monk who sold his Ferrari, I was completely unknown. I was a self-published author. I was a lawyer by training, and I self-published this book that everyone laughed at, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. And I think it's really important to be willing to be laughed at, Anna. I think a lot of us, we are too afraid of rejection. I think a lot of us forget this key principle, which is our instinct is wiser than our intellect. All of us have these ideas, these instincts, to launch a new business, to write a book, to create a screenplay, to find great love, to run a marathon. And at the first moment, our idea and our instinct meets some rejection or laughter by a family member or a friend.
Yes.
Who isn't a dreamer, who maybe is cynical, we say, you're right, I should be reasonable. And what we do is our ambitions over time start to get smothered, and we lose the sparkle in our eye, and we lose self-respect. And actually we get into pain because potential unexpressed turns into pain. And the more we deny our potential and become average and accept mediocrity, the more we sort of die to life.
Yes.
Right?
Sure.
So I think it's really important, if people laugh at you and they don't get you, trust yourself, as simple as it sounds. Your instinct is incredibly wise. And I had an instinct to leave law and to write this book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. And I started off from very humble beginnings. I printed about 5,000 copies. I made a mess of the first printing because I printed it too small so people couldn't even read the letters. But I made the next printing better, and I learned how to do the publishing. And I started one person at a time. How do you build a movement of millions of people one person at a time? And I started just telling one person after another person about the book, and something almost magical started to happen. After about 2 years, people said, oh, your book is on the bestseller list in Croatia. It's on the bestseller list in Japan. It's #1 in Colombia. And so I really think that when you put out good intentions and you believe in your mission, good things start happening to you. There's a great idea, which is synchronicity is God's way of remaining anonymous.
Yes, I believe in that also. But also, the very important is patience.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
Totally. It's such a simple word, and it's such a transformational virtue. We're here in Italy. Thank you for bringing your amazing team here as well. But, you know, when you look at Michelangelo, it took him 4 years of his life to do the ceiling in the Sistine Chapel. It took 21 or 22 years to build the Taj Mahal. If you look at the great artists or the great authors, many of them spend years on a single book. But we live in a world right now where if we don't hear back from someone in 30 seconds, we get upset and want to say, why didn't you reply to my text or my message? And so if you look at patience is a key word. You want to get fit, you need patience and consistency. You want to push magic through your craft? Patience. You want to find real love? Patience. You want to live a great life? It's patience.
And also minimalism. I was listening about the minimalism through your interviews, how important it is. But also, I need to ask you something. What is with our expectations? Sometimes we have so big expectations.
Well, so you bring up 2 key points. First of all, we live in a world that celebrates maximalism.
Yes.
Skim 100 books this year, but don't master any. Maximalism. Have 10,000 digital friends versus 1 lifetime friend. In terms of content, you're a content creator. Our world says, push out constantly, video after video, post after post. Well, there's one thing about mastery, and it's all about minimalism, not maximalism. So rather than putting out 1,000 pieces of content, put out 1 interview a month or every week or whatever, but make it amazing. Yes. Rather than having 10,000 digital friends you don't even know, have a few friends you do well. So I think a great life, and one of the through lines, as you're suggesting in The Wealth Money Can't Buy, is minimalism. Simplify. Shift from complexity to simplicity. And then the second thing you say about expectations, with respect, I don't know if we all have big expectations. I think, unfortunately, we're born into genius, and many of us have been pushed into mediocrity. I think a lot of us were born ambitious. We wanted to do amazing things, and then the world has taught us to fit in. The world has taught us that great women and men are cut from a different cloth. So I don't know if we all have those big expectations anymore. A lot of us have said, my life is okay, my work is okay, my love life is okay, my health is okay, and I guess I have to accept that. And I don't think that's true.
I agree with you, but I also must ask you something. I've read something great which you told, or I heard it through some other podcast. You told that bad things for our ego are great things for our soul. Am I right?
It's an old idea. A bad day for the ego is a great day for the soul.
Yes.
So what that means, as all your followers know, maybe we have a business failure. Maybe we lose a client one day. It's a bad day for the ego. It's a great day for the soul because we grow the most through our painful experiences.
Yes.
Maybe we end a relationship. Bad day for the ego. We can say, wow, why me? Life is hard. What a problem. That's all the ego.
And the victim type of person.
Absolutely. That's what victims do. They give away their power. Why me? But the soul says, I can use this to grow. You know, in my life, I've experienced a lot of victory and I've experienced a lot of tragedy. And I can tell you personally, and just being very vulnerable, it's through my times in the valley of darkness that I learned whatever wisdom I have. It's in my difficulties that I learned how strong I am. It's in my painful experiences that pain actually became a purifier. So our society says when you're in a troublesome time, a difficult time, a painful time, run out of it as quickly as possible. You know what the soul says? The soul says, stay in it. Stay in it. It's only your ego that says it's wrong. It's just another event. You exploit the difficulty for your strength and your power and your wisdom. And that's, if you look at the greatest leaders of humanity, these are people who suffered the most.
Yes, they are. But who helped you the most in that period of life? Who was your coach?
Well, so in The Wealth Money Can't Buy, there's a chapter called Recruit a Dead Board of Directors. And so who helped me in my most painful times? Dead people. And it's not like I commune with the, there's probably ghosts in this place. I shouldn't say
yes,
that. But,
I believe that. Do you believe in past lives?
I do.
Yes.
I do. And I think you can explain a lot of our behaviors and our passions and enthusiasms, why we like what we like from past lives.
Yes.
But this a point, like, yes. why do I say I talk to dead people? But in my difficult times, I went to books of dead heroes.
Wow.
You know, one of the books that helped me through difficult times is The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. He's passed away, but through his books, I had conversations with him. And that's what that chapter in the new book is all about. It's like, you want to be a billionaire, read the books on Aristotle Onassis or Steve Jobs. If you want to be a humanitarian, read about Gandhi. Read about Mandela. If you want to be a great artist, read about Jean-Michel Basquiat. You know, we live in a world right now where victims love entertainment, leaders love education. So many people are cyber zombies, and you know, they want the reward, they want a world-class life, but they're not living the habits or doing the things that'll give them a world-class life. You can play with your phone, you can change the world, you can't do both.
How important habits are. You have a great habit, MVP,
yes.
Meditation, visualization, and prayer.
Yes.
You are practicing every morning. You're waking at 4 o'clock?
Yes, yes. So this is the tool you're talking about to bring value to your followers and viewers. It's called the MVP growth tool. We're all looking for the tool that will help us, and I can just simply say this tool is incredibly powerful to become stronger, more disciplined, braver, happier. What is the MVP growth tool? First thing in the morning, I like getting up at 4 a.m. or join the 5 a.m. club.
Yes.
45 minutes while the rest of the world is asleep. Do your MVP. You've interviewed a lot of sports stars.
Yes.
MVP is most valuable player in English. In my work, MVP is meditation, visualization, and prayer. 45 minutes of meditating. Then after you meditate, maybe in that 45-minute period, maybe 15 or 20 minutes, closing your eyes, visualizing. See yourself achieving the project that you want to achieve. See yourself in the day ahead behaving the way you want to behave. And then maybe 5 or 10 minutes in the 45-minute block, prayer. Prayer is powerful. It's an incredible creative tool. When you pray, you're setting intentions, and every intention is creative.
Yes, I believe that also. But also you're practicing exercises in the morning?
Yes.
Yes.
So I mean, your morning routine is incredibly powerful. People, again, you want to become stronger, more disciplined, more creative, more productive, happier. Build a great morning routine. The way you start your day creates the way your day unfolds. And I wrote a lot about it in my book, The 5 a.m. Club. And one of the key things to do is, after your MVP, start moving, sweat. You'll release dopamine, which is the inspirational neurotransmitter. You'll release serotonin, which makes you feel better. You'll release, by exercising first thing in the morning, you'll release brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which increases your processing ability in your brain. You'll release norepinephrine, which gives you focus. That's why after workout, your brain is kind of slower and you can focus more. So one of the best things you could possibly do, it's so simple, but do a sweaty workout as soon as possible after you wake up. And the rest of your day is fundamentally different. And here's the point. Your days are your life in miniature. So if you can have a great morning, you'll consistently have great days. If you have great days, you'll have great weeks, quarters, years, lifetime.
You great said that your life is in a day. No, day is your life in a miniature.
Yes. Get your days right, you'll get your life right.
Well, when I'm listening you, your life seems to be so balanced. But while you were having now your tour, how did you charge yourself? Because it was really exhausting with a lot of interviews, a lot of traveling around the world. So can you give us tips when we have a hectic time of life? Because we cannot offer always to have everything balanced, but how it looked from your perspective and how you charged yourself?
It's a brilliant question. So sometimes in life you're going to be out of balance, and that's okay. So for roughly 2 months, I'd worked 1 year on The Wealth Money Can't Buy, and I'm on this book tour.
And you suffered so much. You told your followers that you suffered so much with the writing.
I did.
Yes.
I did. It was a beautiful suffering writing The Wealth Money Can't Buy. It was suffering because I rewrote it maybe 20 times. I spent a year of my life writing it. I had timeline after timeline on the book. It was like painstaking, I use that word intentionally, painstaking attention to detail, trying to get every word as best as I could. Why? Because I love my readers. I want to give them magic. Why was it a beautiful suffering? Because also I was pursuing my craft, and I was being creative, and I love being creative. So once I finished the book, then you have to go out on this book tour, and I went to all these different cities doing media, podcasts, and book signings. One day I did, I think it was 6 or 7 podcasts, and then it was in Miami, and that night I had a book signing. So very intense. So it's okay, of course. That's a season or 2 months where my family was, I was away from my family, but you do it, and it's okay. How, in the face of that intensity, did I stay grounded and refuel myself? Well, almost every day I still got up very early, and I went to the hotel gym. I did my MVP, and then I went to the hotel gym, and I made sure I exercised, even if it was just 20 or 25 minutes. That was so important. Then when I finished a book event, let's say the book event is at 7 o'clock, rather than going out to a restaurant, I love great food. Croatia has amazing food and wine, and you taught me today olive oil. I didn't know that. Probably truffles. I think tartufo. I think there's.
Yes.
But that's
in Istria.
In Istria, I heard that. So that's another conversation. Yes. But rather than going to a restaurant, I returned to the hotel. I had a simple meal, and I tried to get in bed by between 9:30 and 10. So I still got my sleep. And then maybe after 5 or 6 days of intensity, I'd have a day off or whatever.
Yes, you must.
So you have to have that 0 device day. So I wasn't on my phone, and I'd go to an art gallery, and I'd use the art to refuel, or I'd take a nap, or I'd go to a park. So I would have, I believe, elite performance without deep recovery is an empty victory. Mm-hmm. And so I pushed myself very hard, but I'm very good at resting and recovering as well, even on the tour.
Yes. You're a perfectionist, aren't you?
Yes.
Big perfectionist.
Mm-hmm.
Is it good Or sometimes it is really hard.
Well, I have to be honest. If you're a perfectionist, you're never going to be satisfied, but that's the price you pay for trying to do amazing things in the world. And if you look at any great man or woman, and I'm not saying I'm a great man, but if you look at the greatest of the greatest, almost every one of them had similar traits, and I can share what I've seen because I've worked with so many billionaires over 15 years and great athletes and great builders, but almost every one of them was a perfectionist. Jean-Michel Basquiat, perfectionist. Hedy Lamarr, perfectionist. Steve Jobs,
Yes.
perfectionist.
Athletes. All of them who are the biggest one.
They're athletes. Like, I think the greatest human beings were broken, and many of them didn't get a lot of validation from their parents. So there's a chip on the shoulder. I want to show you, world, how good I am. And when they got to the top, they got the championship. It was like next year's championship too. I mean, the greatest athletes, as you know, they're not in the business of a championship. They're in the business of a dynasty.
Yes.
I think about Kobe. And so I think the world builders are often very broken and complicated people. And I think there's a very fine line between genius and madness. And almost all of these people were perfectionists. I think it's okay. So you have to accept yourself. If you're a perfectionist, accept yourself. Look for the blessings in it.
Yes. Authenticity.
Authenticity, yes.
It is so important in work and in the life, isn't it?
It's true. It's true. Oscar Wilde, I was looking for a quote, but it was about authenticity. But the larger point is, you know, I think real winning is running your own race. Real winning is saying, the world thinks I'm crazy, but I have a vision and I'm going to do it. Did you know Vincent van Gogh, in his entire lifetime, only sold 2 paintings?
I didn't know that, but I heard it from you.
Yeah. He was called crazy. He was put in an insane asylum, and yet he kept on painting. And what do? So many of us, in the majority of human beings, we become who society, who the world, who our neighbors want us to be, and in the process, we betray ourselves. What is the wealth money can't buy? Part of it is saying, here's my vision, here are my values, here's how I want to talk, here's how I want to walk, and even if people call me strange, I'm going to do it. Like, what's the point of winning in the world but losing with yourself?
No. Yes, I agree with you, but can you tell me also one thing? When we're living our purpose, for somebody it is private life, family life, for somebody something to bring back to community. Everybody has his own purpose. Can we live our purpose and have balanced private life, love life? Can everything be on the first place? What do you think?
So, again, all of the people who change the world are obsessed. I think this is what you're getting at.
Yes.
So, Steve Jobs, I think he was obsessed. Aristotle Onassis, I think he was obsessed. Kobe Bryant, with great respect, I think he was obsessed. Mother Teresa, I think she was obsessed. So a lot of the people who do amazing things in the world, they're so monomaniacally obsessed with their mighty mission, they let other things fall away. Having said that, I do believe, I think I'm very invested in my mission to serve people, inspire people, help them achieve incredible things. Like, this is my oxygen. Having said that, I have a great family life.
Yes, I wanted to ask you that you're living balance in everything. You have family, children, your partner. You're living in such amazing place. I must ask you, why Florence and why Italy and why Europe? I mean, I understand when I watch through the window, but okay, I ask you now a few questions in one, but we can.
So I think, yes, we can live a balanced life, and I think it comes down to being very careful with your time. Again, being a minimalist. I don't have a lot of friends. I could have many friends. I'm very careful who my friends are. I love being at home when I'm at home. I just do a few things. I just build my life around very few things. So I actually, when I want to have free time, I have a lot of free time. And then why Italy? I'm a Canadian, and you know, as I get older, winters get harder for me. And I love Italian culture. I fell in love with Rome about 10 years ago and started visiting regularly. My best friend lives in Rome, and so, you know, we just decided it was a time for a change. So yeah.
Are you a romantic soul? Because here is everything so romantic in Italy.
I'm both. I'm part builder, part artist. You know, I don't share this often, but I'm a Gemini, so we're like that sign is two people, and so I'm a builder. I like to create, I like to produce, I can be very focused, and yet I do have the artistic side, the romantic side, the idealist. This summer I plan to start painting. You know, I have a great longing to start painting to fulfill some of my creative expression. So yeah, I love it, and Italy is definitely for romantics. But I need the big cities too, like the efficient cities. I love London, for example.
But you're traveling a lot.
Yes.
Are you a romantic soul?
Yes, I think so.
Yes. What is love for you, in a few sentences?
Well, I would say love is not only romantic love. Love of family, love of your country, love of your craft, love of your mission. So love, what is love for me? Love is many things.
Also, you wrote something wonderful, which I read a few days ago. What is a real human job? To be kind, to put others in perspective, that they see each other bigger than maybe they see each other. It's a wonderful quote.
I think it sounds so simple, but the importance of leaving everyone we meet better than we find them. We often say, well, if I was the prime minister or president or CEO, I could have an impact. In The Wealth Money Can't Buy, I share a story of a doorman outside of a hotel in Barcelona. And one day we were chatting, I was there for a few days, and I went to get my coffee, and as I came back, I said, you know, you're having such a great impact. You're so friendly with everyone. And he said, what do you mean? I'm basically, just a doorman. I said, well, I forget the number, but it was something like if you are friendly to 10 or 20 or whatever people every day, after 365 days, that's this many thousands of people that you've uplifted. And after 10 years, it's this many hundreds of thousands. And after a lifetime, and he literally, tears came to his eyes, and he smiled, and he looked up to the sky, he looked up to the clouds. But I think often we forget that no matter who we are, what we've experienced, what we do, where we live, if we go out in the world and we are kind and we're generous and we're positive, we can influence a huge amount of people by the time we get to our last day. And it's a great way to live.
Isn't it wonderful award to see your influence on other people?
It's fulfilling. It's fulfilling, and it's a great honor to have a good influence. But I try not to spend too much time on it, because I think if you spend too much time on your influence, you can get confused and take it and make that the main thing. And for me, service is the main thing, or getting the craft right is the main thing, and being a humble servant is the main thing. I think the moment you fall in love with your success, it's the beginning of the end.
Yes, I agree with you totally. Well, now you will have your life back here in Tuscany, in Florence. Now it will be a little bit easier in this period, yes?
You know, I'm starting to slow down, but I'm in Athens next week and Madrid, and so there's still a few more book events and media days.
Yes.
But once we get to June, things will really slow down. In July, I'm completely off.
You've been in Croatia. What do you think about Croatia?
I was mentioning to you, I genuinely, sincerely love Croatia. I love the people. I love the culture. I've been to Zagreb twice. I believe it was twice. And as I was sharing with you, I remember I used to walk the streets of Zagreb, often late at night. It was very still. And then I took I think it's a trolley that goes up to the old town. And halfway up, there is a restaurant kind of built in the mountain.
Yes, yes.
And I had one glass of amazing Croatian red wine and a beautiful meal. And then I continued up to the old town, and there was a soldier who was standing in the old town, and we had a chat about Nikola Tesla.
Yeah.
So I have very good memories, and I can't wait to come back to Croatia.
Yes, we are waiting you.
Thank you.
Also on the coast. Our coast is also amazing. But everything in Croatia, we love our country, so we are expecting you.
Thank you.
And for the last question, I must ask you, are you living in your own clouds?
I have two boots on the ground, and my head is in the clouds.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you, Robin, for this wonderful conversation and for your time, for us, for our audience and our followers.
Really a pleasure. Thank you for your time and for your team being so professional and welcoming me with such generosity. And congratulations on all your success, and I hope your podcast continues to fly around the world.
Thank you a lot. It was everything from us. Hvala vam na svemu. Pratite nas, gledajte, lajkajte, šerajte, subscribeajte. Sve znate. Vidimo se za jedan dana. Pozdrav iz Firence.